So I've heard that Sony had just announced a brand new version of the PS5 console in their latest technical presentation. And as a Sony fan of over 25 years and having owned every single Sony console in existence, I could say that I'm very excited for this announcement. Sony has never made a bad product in their entire existence that they've been around, so my hopes are extremely high for the PS5 Pro, and my money is practically already flying out of my wallet as we speak. So let's just begin to experience this together before I faint from excitement already, shall we? Ooh, I'm already getting chills just listening to this.
When PS5 debuted in 2020, it brought a lot to the table. 8 Zen 2 CPU cores formed the
Just look
brains
at how
of
good the
PlayStation
current
5,
PS5
and
can run all these
high-speed
AAA
complex
games.
gameplay.
Oh my
With
god,
character
all
counts
these
reaching
titles look
hundreds.
absolutely gorgeous right now. It's really hard to imagine what
frame rates
Sony
that
could
can be
do
as
to even
high as
raise the bar on
120
what
frames per
basically
second.
perfection at this point.
PS5 has a
I'm sorry, I simply had to stop here in order to just admire the sheer fidelity of what the PS5 can put out. I mean, this is just a technical marvel on all fundamental levels. I don't even know how they would even begin to top these breathtaking visuals. Just look at how detailed all these games are and how much graphical prowess the PS5 is able to handle. This can pretty much run anything a PC can, and sometimes even better at a much lower price. Man, this really is the best gaming generation of all time.
But the games only run at 30 frames per second. The visuals can be choppier, and the controls less responsive. Performance modes emphasize frame rate and interactivity, typically choosing to run at 60 frames per second.
Man, what a stark contrast between performance mode and graphics mode. Wow, it's actually crazy how much of a difference there is between these two images. I can almost see the individual pixels on the screen for the performance mode. I actually feel bad for the people who have to suffer through this travesty, but it's okay. Sony is always one step ahead, and they aim to close this gap with the PS5 Pro. This is such a genius move that I'm surprised they haven't thought of this sooner. Amazing work from the team at the Sony headquarters. Alright, let's continue.
PlayStation 5 in 3 ways. Here's what we call the Big 3. First, we made the GPU much larger and increased the speed of the memory it uses.
Whoa.
The result
whoa.
is rendering that's up to 40.
Oh my god, this is so amazing. 45% faster rendering in this generation? Are you kidding me? I would have imagined maybe 20 to 25%, but 45? Man, Sony have really knocked it out of the park with this one.
New and existing titles. And with the Big 3 involved, the results can be pretty amazing, with graphics showing something like fidelity levels of detail, but at double the frame rate. Here's The Last of Us Part 2 running on PS5 Pro. It has
Amazing
huge
game.
amounts of detail and targets a super smooth 60
Amazing.
frames per second. Let's compare this to the fidelity.
Yep, this is a clear night and day difference here between the normal PS5 and the Pro version. The PS5 Pro is better in every conceivable way, from the textures, the lighting, the frame rate. Like, if you're unable to see how much infinitely better the PS5 Pro is, then I think you need your eyes checked.
Another way to compare the two consoles is to look at PS5 Pro versus Performance mode on PS5, both of which target 60 frames per second. What we see here is a difference in detail. PS5 Pro is much sharper.
Yep, like I said, this is a total juxtaposition of graphical fidelity. I don't know how anyone can look at me with a straight face and tell me that these two images are the exact same, because they can't. If they hadn't said anything, you would have thought that these two images were for completely different time periods. It's just utterly baffling how Sony manages to one-up themselves each time they announce something. I'm just speechless at this point. This announcement has already exceeded my expectations only 5 minutes in. I can't wait to see what other surprises they have for us in the next few minutes. Oh, here's the final reveal. I'm absolutely shaking right now. Oh my god. I can't even believe my eyes. All of this new gen technology for the low price of just $700. They're practically giving it away for free at this point. I mean, if you take into account how much of an upgrade this is over the regular PS5, this can basically be called a PS6. The expanded GPU with the upgraded RAM speed with the more powerful CPU makes the PS5 Pro a complete powerhouse in gaming. This is pretty much equivalent to a PC with a 4090, but even better because it has all the top of the line technology packed into one small console. And did I forget to mention that it's at a mighty cheap price for just $700? I mean, I can practically buy three for myself and give it to everyone I know. One for me, my wife, and her boyfriend. I mean, I can just pretty much give these out like candy. That's how cheap these are. And I know some people who are on the fence about it are asking if the console has a physical disc drive version for the people who still own physical games. But like, what kind of question is that? We're living in the year 2024 here. Of course it doesn't. We're not cavemen anymore. We're living in the digital age where everything can be stored in the cloud, which is what you should be doing. So obviously a physical disc version is just a waste of resources, but Sony, in their infinite generosity, did make a physical disc drive just for you guys. And it can be bought separately for the low price of just $80. I mean, that's not even anything. I could find that amount between my sofa cushions. You should be thanking Sony right now for their infinite wisdom, because I sure would. But that's just me. If I had to give this presentation a rating, I would give it a 10 out of 10, no hesitation. And I'm a harsh critic. This is one of the best announcements I've had the privilege of watching in my life, and I am blessed to be born in the same age where I can experience a studio so gracious as Sony. Thank you again, Sony, for everything that you do, and I promise I will be there day one to pick up my PS5 Pro. Amen.